and welcome to Health Tips for Life. So, very excited to be with you on this December 11th. The year is the month rather is going by so fast. So, the end of the year is almost here. So, I got a fascinating topic for you today that I'm going to have my conversation with Dr. Stewart. I'll bring him in soon here. And I just want to give you a heads up about we might be changing the timing. We might be doing it now on Mondays at 5 o'clock. We'll figure out the best time that works for everybody. So, and of course, I always welcome your feedback, your questions. We're here to learn because that's what this community is all about. So today's topic, I'm going to be talking about really as the holidays gets closer. Where is the big problem with that? Well, we all know it tends to be, eating a little bit more than we usually do during the year, maybe a little bit too much sweets into this and so forth. But today we're going to be talking about something very, very specific Dr. Stewart happens to know about. And this one has to do with the cycle of fat. How does it all work? So let me bring in Dr. Stewart here. Hello, Doc. How are you?
Hey, Dr. O, I'm doing really well today.
Oh,
And this is one of
good.
my favorite topics to discuss, although it's complicated. And we'll try
Well,
to
it
make it
is.
simple enough so people can use this information.
Yeah. Well, given your background, not only from the health aspects of it, but also from the chemistry aspects of it,
Oh, yeah.
so you're the perfect expert to go to about this topic. So let me just start with asking the basic questions. Why does it at the end of every year we tends to either gain weight, we tends to be in a different mood, we tends to eat differently? What is the thing about the end of the year?
Well, there's something about you now have the permission to misbehave a whole lot.
Ah,
And boy, do people do it. For people to say, what, over the holidays, I put on 10 pounds. Yeah, well, good luck getting that off. Too often
wow.
it's permanent. And it's all in the cakes and cookies and all the rich foods that are just fun to eat. I mean, let's get real. The things that are available that are hardly available any other time. Pound cake, fruit cake, and so much more. It's just
Yeah.
awful.
Well,
The
it's a lot
temptation
of, I
goes
mean,
beyond belief.
yeah, you're right. I won't deny it. I won't deny it. A few years ago, the holidays, it won't matter how much chocolate you eat or cakes or cookie, whatever. So,
Yeah.
but as you grow older, as your metabolism is slowing down, you
Yes,
start
that's
to think.
correct.
So, if you are to ask me about the last 10 years, I tell you, I had to cut down on so many things, including this, during the holiday time. I'll have nowadays I'll have a small part of pie or something like this only once a week on the weekend, and
Yeah.
I'll have a European size. In other words, very, very small. Why? Because my metabolism is not as high as it used to be when I was in my 20s.
True enough. And when you say something like, I only eat half as much as I used to, it's probably true
Wow.
because you can survive on that much less food because your metabolism is just burning it off. Well, let's talk about how big this problem really is. These are low-balling the statistics
Hmm.
to be on the conservative side. 40 to 60% of Americans are gigantically overweight. That means they
Wow.
weigh 20% more than their recommended weight. So if a person should weigh 200 pounds, they weigh 240. And it's not muscle.
Mm,
Or a woman should weigh 110 and she weighs 160. That's
mm.
not uncommon, especially with young women who are raised on a particular way of eating. You go to social events and you look around and you see 40 to 60% of the women are really overweight.
Mm.
Let's talk about the dangers of that. If they're childbearing age and they're overweight, here's a quiz. What do you think it does to the fetus? Well, I'll tell you exactly what it does. There's something called set point,
Hmm.
and it's complicated. I don't want to go into too much of the chemistry, but if a mom is overweight, her baby will be born overweight, and that child has the propensity to be overweight their entire life. And when they can't eat all the carbohydrates to keep their weight up, they feel miserable. So you see these fat little kids,
Yeah.
mom was fat during the pregnancy. They turn into generational fat people.
Interesting.
This is really tragic.
Yeah.
And these people, and the offspring didn't earn this. They didn't overeat to get this. Their mom was overweight, and it carries on to generation to generation. Oh, there are a few other bad things that occur with this too.
Yeah.
How about high blood pressure? That is
That's
not a
right.
laughing matter when you look at how many people die of stroke and heart attack.
Yeah.
This is
But
really serious.
could all this also has to do with, for example, when we talk, since we're talking about fat here, that's where we focus our
Yes.
conversation on here. Could it be that the idea that the body sort of breaks down fat certain ways that we don't understand it very well? By the time it enters the bloodstream by way of lymphatic system, is there something we don't know that we need to know about, so we can understand exactly when we eat certain type of food why some people turns up end up being fat and others no not?
Oh boy, it's complicated, but let's do a deep dive into this
Yeah.
and make it as simple as we can. If most of the fat that people carry, most, not all,
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
going to carry it in their belly. It's
Mhm.
not the dark fat that you need to protect your organs. It's
Mm.
the white fat that you'll see in bacon and so on. It is
Okay.
that actual color. And what that is a direct reflection of short chain carbohydrates. Now, I don't want to get on a soapbox and rant and rave about the evils of sugar and the rest of that. I'd rather give people information so
Mhm.
they can figure this stuff out for themselves and know know what's actually happening when they consume these things. And Christmas time or the holidays could not be a more important time to do this,
Mhm.
because it's so easy to load up on this stuff. And 10 to 15 pounds that you carry with you that you didn't have before, that you can't get rid of, it adds up and it adds up and adds up. And all of a sudden you're 40 pounds overweight. And a lot of people are. Let's dive
Mm.
into the chemistry. How does this actually happen? Because we know that the dangers of this is going to be depression, it's going to be fatigue, it's going to be cancer, it's going to be diabetes, it's going to be a whole lot of illnesses. They're a direct result from this. And here's how it happens. And a way to consider this is that if a person has belly fat, 90% of that is primarily based on short chain carbohydrates.
Mm.
Potatoes, bagels, bread, any kind of sugar, and it also includes beans. It also includes fruit and juice. Orange juice is a terrible offender, has no nutrition, and it's all sugar. So here's how it goes. The body's supposed to have some sugar in it.
Mhm.
Although we're going to talk about fats a little later, and you do better on fats than on sugar. But so a person takes in a slice of bread, a bagel, a donut, whatever it is, and their blood sugar skyrockets. Boom.
Mhm.
Well, there's a danger of that. If the blood sugar remains high too long, it irritates your entire vascular system, including your veins, your arteries, your capillaries. And if they get inflamed, they tend to swell. Worse than that, they tend to have some damage to them. And then the veins and arteries send messengers to the liver. It says, send me a plaque patch.
Mm.
Oh no, now we start accumulating all this stuff in the arteries, clogging
Mhm.
the arteries and the veins and so on.
Mhm.
So what happens is the body recognizes that the blood sugar is too high. So it has a couple of things that happen now. One of them is that it produces insulin. Now you say, well, what's insulin supposed to do? Well, not to dive into biochemistry at an advanced level, Insulin has several functions. One is it helps this blood sugar get into the. Oh, that's a good thing.
Mm.
Okay, so it can do so much of that. Then it goes after, if there's excess, we need to do something with it. So it has several pathways that it takes, but one of them is it stores it in the liver. It stores it in other places in your body, and if after that, in your muscles for later use. Now, if that doesn't take care of all the blood sugar, it promotes it into storage called fat. It's the white fat. Now, historically, human beings didn't have this problem. For one thing, they didn't historically, meaning within 5,000 years, they didn't have excesses of food. And since agriculture is new, they didn't have many carbohydrates.
Yeah.
They had some small amount of they had vegetables and they had protein.
But that's what I noticed about, for example, the nutrition in the Asian cultures. I have friends from that part of the world, from Vietnam mainly. And I remember anytime I will go to Charlie's house with his family, and well, he always cooks food at home, and it's based vegetables and all that stuff. And you eat that kind of food, you never feel like it's too heavy, whatever. So I always notice that the Asian cultures, they don't have that kind of problem. But things are changing from what I heard.
Unfortunately for them, yeah.
Yeah.
One time I invited some friends over, and one of them was a Vietnamese chef. And I said, let's do it completely Vietnamese. Now, obviously, she was a chef. She knew what she was doing, and the food was magnificent. But it's primarily vegetables.
Wow.
And seafood. And a touch of rice. No wonder those people live so long. Yeah. No wonder they're so healthy. But in any event, we're now looking at storage of this sugar. And once it's stored, it's really hard to get rid of it. Because you don't say, okay, now I've given it up. Now I don't have to worry about it anymore.
Yeah.
So you go, let's have another dose of short chain carbohydrates, more bread, more bagel. And now the system is so clogged that it doesn't go into the cells anymore. The cells are saturated. It doesn't go into muscle and organs to be saved. It now goes into more fat. So do this every day. What happens? It accumulates into, now you're really fat. And the way to get rid of it is you got to cut the sugar and replace your whole eating program with something that's going to burn what you got, because it has to be burned in places. It has to be taken out of the blood. Now we're going to talk about diabetes in a minute. It has to be taken out of the blood. Then it has to be taken out of the muscle and other tissue, and liver and so on. Then it has to come out of the fat storage.
Wow.
But this body's, because people keep consuming this stuff, the body never has a chance to get rid of any of it.
Yeah.
So now we're looking at, God, this is really a challenge. And I was looking at a particular very famous weight loss center in Los Angeles. Actually, it was near Beverly Hills.
Yeah.
And they said, our average weight loss for 3 months is 7 pounds. And that's on a terribly restrictive diet. 7 pounds, if you're 40 pounds overweight and you've just worked really hard to lose 7 pounds, it's discouraging.
Yeah.
Especially since 3 or 4 meals and you'll gain it back. That's complex chemistry is how that works. I had a really good friend who lost about 25 pounds.
Yeah.
On a particular starvation kind of diet. They went on a cruise for 10 days.
Mm-hmm.
They gained all 25 pounds back. It tells you how serious this problem really is for
Yeah.
people,
It's
and how
the type of,
dramatically. Go ahead.
yeah. I was gonna say it's the type of the food on the cruise. So no,
Well,
but
look,
here is one that Jules Liang is sharing with us, and I'm gonna put it on the screen here. By the way, Jules Liang, Doc, is one of the avid supporters not only for this channel but all the others.
oh, nice.
Yeah, Jules Liang, and he says hi to you as well. So he shares with us here that he put my late mom's cooking technique was steaming, no deep fry or even stir fry, which is in Asian culture. It's true. Most steaming is the best.
Well, the prediction based on that is that your mother lived a long and healthy life, and so will you, because your mother cooked that way.
Yeah.
Cooking in most oils is really an abomination for your body.
Well,
But we'll go back to that when we get into the oils part, because it is
okay.
critically important that people understand how this all works.
Okay. And we'll take one more question here by London.
Okay.
He's asking a question here quickly here, Doug. It says here, why is it harder for women to lose weight?
Here's how this actually operates. Females of our species, what is the number one thing historically that they've done? They've had children.
Good,
Without
yes.
that, okay. So now fat in a woman is to protect her ovaries and uterus.
Mm.
You're going, what? It has to be kept warm in the event of her, so she can get pregnant. Then it has to stay warm so the fetus is protected at this approximately 98.6 degrees. And so a woman has a propensity to put this weight on and keep it as a way to protect her childbearing capacity. So you go, boy, that's tough for women. And what women have to do, it's complicated. One thing is, if a skinny mom has a skinny daughter, chances are she's not going to have this problem.
Mm.
But now it's skinny mom, and now plump mom, plump daughter, and that daughter has just a horrible time managing her weight for her entire lifetime.
Mm.
Just in time to pass it on to her offspring. Now she's got a couple of fat kids.
Yeah.
So that's a partial explanation. I think there's a whole lot more to it.
Yeah.
In terms of what women choose to eat,
Mm-hmm.
and how hard it is to stay on any kind of a diet with hormonal fluctuations.
Mm.
And so you hardly ever see women really dramatically successful on losing weight and keeping it off. We ran a weight loss clinic for a while, and I'll tell you, it was murder. It was on an appetite suppression program.
Mm-hmm.
And even then, it was so hard, because if you're going through a hormonal roller coaster, you want some comfort. You want something, and junk food provides that.
Yeah.
It makes you, this high carbohydrate stuff makes you numb, emotionally numb, physically numb.
So what will be the role of the hormones?
So it's, yeah. And the fluctuation during any woman's cycle can be relatively severe. I mean, well, we've all seen it and have some real understanding of it. So let's go back to blood sugar and finish that part. So jump onto the really fun part about oils.
Yes.
Okay, so now we've loaded up the cells with the sugar. Mm-hmm. We have loaded up the liver and the muscles, and now we've loaded up the body with fat. And so what are we going to do about that? Well, as the body, if you exercise, chances are the cells are going to use the sugar. It's not its preferred food, but it will accept sugar. It's going to pull it from the muscles. It's going to pull it from the liver, something called glucagon, which I'm not going to dive too much into that, but it's a conversion. And then it goes to fat, the stored
Mm.
fat. So it has to go through all of these layers to start to burn it. And so you say, well, God, these people exercise like crazy, but it doesn't do much. The vast majority of weight management and weight loss comes from dietary control. So they run marathons. You see, I work out, and I know you do too. And you go to the fitness centers, and there's sure a lot of fat people there.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of them are working pretty hard. You see them on a treadmill working. They're clearly 40 or 50 pounds overweight. I noticed there's a heart resuscitation machine on the wall.
Yeah.
where I go, and I say, I don't doubt that someday they're going to use that. Those fat people working on those treadmills, working hard and not getting very far. They lose water weight, but they don't lose fat.
Wow.
So the real issue is never running out of blood sugar. So you can't burn fat. Most of it's burned at the cell level, and
Mm-hmm.
then we'll go to muscles and liver and so on.
Mm-hmm.
But to get to the body fat through exercise doesn't happen. It has to happen by reduction of short chain carbohydrates that we're calling sugar or flour or whatever we want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the body has another mechanism that is very serious, and on the outside of a cell, which is actually it's actually made out of fat.
Mm-hmm.
It's called a phospholipid. It has portals all around it, and all these nutrients have their own special portal. And the portals that will allow sugar in through the help of insulin. Remember that insulin comes from the pancreas to help regulate blood sugar and put it into cells and other places.
Mm-hmm.
When the cell membrane is so bombarded over such a long period of time, it starts shutting down insulin receptors. Hold it. That means the cells are starting to starve to death because they've been oversaturated with sugar for so long.
Mm.
You're going, oh, that sounds serious. Well, it is. It's called insulin resistance. And it's pretty well guaranteed that you're tired all the time because you're actually starving for energy.
Yeah. And this is why I've read somewhere where, for example, the cases of cancer, especially for us here in the United States.
Oh, yeah.
And all it was if you starve the cell out of sugar, you'll do better. But even better, I found out through some research. Of course, the medical community will not want to put a stamp on it because they don't want people to know, is that if you fasting will help sort of the intensity of the cancer to be reduced. And over time, I don't know whether cured or not, but it's because the amount of sugar.
I know doctors who
Mm-hmm.
don't follow, who follow a different path.
Mm-hmm.
And the kind of things we're talking about today, they follow it, and they're pulling people out of stage 4 terminal cancer. They're
Wow.
starving the cancer, and
Wow.
high in antioxidants, really low in carbohydrates, and fill them up with high density protein, really good oils, and anti-inflammatory vegetables, especially with glutathione production. So we're now looking at insulin resistance, and the cells are now starving, and the pancreas has been working so hard for so long, it starts to produce less insulin. We call that diabetes.
What
So
type?
insulin resistance wears out the pancreas, and the cells that produce insulin start to shut down. And now we've got a real problem, because if you go into no insulin, you die. And so we see people taking oral or injectable insulin. They're really in deep trouble.
And what type of diabetes are we talking about? Is it type 1 or type 2?
Type 2.
Okay.
Well, let's talk about type 3 diabetes. Ready for this one?
Yeah. Type 3.
Alzheimer's.
Wow. Hmm.
Alzheimer's. Alzheimer's is called diabetes of the brain. So much sugar over such a long period of time, it starts to create this gummy substance,
Mm-hmm.
and the gummy substance in the brain clogs up neural pathways, clogs up neurons, and starves them to death for no nutrition. And you see this happen over a long enough period of time, and you see some brain scans, and you say, 1/3 of this person's brain is gone. Yeah, that's how
Wow.
serious this carbohydrate problem really and truly is. It's really a tragedy. And we're seeing escalating numbers of Alzheimer's, something that a number of things that didn't exist in 1900 are now reaching epidemic proportions. You know, the thing about plaquing of the arteries based on this,
Yeah.
in 1900, they didn't have a diagnosis for it because they never saw it. Oh, but they have a diagnosis for it now,
That's true.
plaquing of the arteries, and you see heart
Absolutely.
bypass
Yeah.
surgery and so on.
Yeah.
And we know that one of the other things that you said it a minute ago is cancer.
Yeah.
How is it possible that something that was so rare the medical profession hardly ever saw it, epidemic today? Well, it's a number of factors, including environmental pollution, but one of the major factors is this insulin problem and short chain carbohydrates.
Yeah.
It shuts down your killer T cell production. That's what goes after cancer. And you look at this stuff under a slide, you go, those killer T cells, they really do go after and devour cancer cells. I can't remember the mechanism. I think it's hydrochloric acid. Those things
Oh.
produce it and just dissolve them. So what are really the solutions here? Let me ask you this. Do you think we painted this as a danger enough picture?
Hmm.
I think we painted a pretty dangerous picture here
It is.
about it not only affects your life with cancer, heart disease, and Alzheimer's,
Yeah.
which not very many people want, but it
Yeah.
also affects your children and your grandchildren.
Because of the genes.
Well, it's because of the set point. If your mom is fat, the kid is fat.
Wow.
Interesting studies I was reading. They had mothers who were fat and had children. Then they put them on specific eating programs, and they got down to their ideal weight. And they had more children, and the children were not fat. But when the mother was fat, those babies turned out to be fat adults. How's that for pretty
Interesting.
conclusive evidence?
Yeah.
Skinny mom, skinny kids. Fat
Yeah.
mom, fat kids.
Yeah.
Fat kids,
Yeah.
fat grandkids.
Okay.
It's devastating.
Yeah. Let's take a question here from Zhu Liang. He's asking, is fasting safe for everyone?
Probably not for everyone, but for the
Yeah.
vast majority of people.
Yeah.
I'd certainly recommend a well planned out
Yeah.
fasting program. I mean, I've seen all the way from person only drank water and electrolytes for 3 months, lost
Yeah.
70 pounds,
Yeah.
looked like hell. But it did work.
Yeah.
I've also seen people who did this intermittent fasting.
Yeah. Which I'm
Wow,
doing. I've been doing for years now.
yeah.
Yeah. But I've
And
been also fasting. I fast once a year.
I've
Once a
seen you
year.
do that, and the results are pretty amazing.
Yeah, it feels great. It feels great. And, when I say I fast 30 days, people think that I don't eat for 30 days. No, I'll die. No,
But
I
it's 2
fast
meals a day.
yeah.
Is that
When
correct?
the sun goes down, I'll eat something, but I make sure at night I don't eat as much. And for 30 days, I only eat one meal a day. That's it. One every 24 hours.
And do you have a snack at night?
No,
Oh, so it is just one meal
one
only
meal.
the entire day.
One meal. When the sun goes down, I'll eat something. I eat a balanced meal. I'll have steak. I'll have a soup, and maybe later on I'll have a yogurt, something light, but a lot of water, and that's
Yeah.
it. And that's it. once a day.
Well, I've seen you manage your weight magnificently with that program, because as you know,
Yeah,
I've known you a very long time. So I've
yeah.
seen you do it year after year after year,
Well, I'm still same
and it's
weight
very impressive.
that I was 15 years ago.
Really?
Yeah, same weight,
Wow.
15 years ago.
Let's talk about fats and oils.
All right, oils, yes. Yeah, Jules, this is for you.
Well, the first thing is that your body is designed to run on fat as its fuel, not
Hmm.
sugar. For all the years of evolution, sugary stuff was simply not available.
Hmm.
Agriculture had to come along before these things became available. And then we saw things like fat, diabetes, cancer, dental caries, malformation of the jaw. All that is a direct result of agriculture.
Wow.
We'll take a look at our ancestors, and their teeth were all lined up perfectly. Their jaws were wide. Their wisdom teeth fit in there, and they didn't have misalignment, and they didn't have dental caries. They had didn't have fillings in their teeth. They didn't need them. Well, they couldn't have done it anyway, but
Yeah.
they didn't need them because their teeth didn't decay. How fascinating is that? Okay, so now what do we do? Okay, now let's get sarcastic for a minute here. We need to stay away from the saturated fats. They're bad for you. Wrong. The saturated fats are the ones that are good for you. It's the carbohydrates that plaque your arteries, not saturated fat.
Hmm.
So how do you get saturated fat? Well, how about a steak? How about a salmon? Fresh,
Yeah.
real salmon from the ocean. How about butter? There are any number of ways to get saturated fat, and the last thing you want to do is avoid them. In
Hmm.
the absence of carbohydrates, you take these fats and convert them through a particular a process that makes them into energy. Highly efficient, really healthy,
Hmm.
and you feel better, act better, and are dramatically better off. So all the things we keep hearing about saturated fat, we don't hear them anymore.
Yeah.
Science has really done the trick on this one, because they showed that saturated fats were the ones that are good for you. And so if someone says, "You mean you eat bacon?" Well, you probably don't, but some of the rest of us do
Oh, I
sometimes.
do.
Oh,
I
do
do
you?
bacon on a daily basis now
Oh,
with no sugar. With no sugar. Uh, yeah, I get the bacon that does not have sugar in it.
I don't know if I get the same brand or not, but I get bacon that has no sugar in it also.
Yeah, that's the good one.
So we want to load up on saturated fats,
Mm-hmm.
and if it's going to be in the form of a protein source, what we're really looking for is somewhere about a serving of about the size of the palm of your hand, not your whole hand,
Hmm.
but you don't
Yeah.
need that much. You need about 100 grams of protein per day, and a nice fillet of salmon is a way. It's loaded with fish. It's loaded with oils,
Hmm.
and even though I don't go for steak very much, that much steak or that much chicken or whatever it is you're eating, if you're eating chicken and it's an organic chicken, eat the skin. You go, what? I thought it was bad. It's where the fat is. So all these things with fat that we're told to stay away from, absolutely wrong.
Yeah.
Your body thrives on that. And what is it really thriving? The first thing that shows is your skin is healthier.
Yeah.
Your skin needs a lot of oil to not wrinkle and to stay youthful looking.
Yeah. Let's
Then
share.
every cell.
Yeah, let's share one word here from Jules again. Polyunsaturated fat contains many double bonds, hence very reactive and interfere with other body mechanisms. Is there some truth to that?
I don't think so.
Polyunsaturated fat.
Oh, polyunsaturated.
Yeah.
I put them in the category poison. Your body
Wow.
has your body has no way to cope with those things. And you look at people, you look on autopsy, you take a look at some people's liver, and you say,
Hmm.
hold it, it's clogged. And what's it clogged with? Polyunsaturated fats.
Wow,
Because your
that's
body has
amazing.
no way to rid itself of those.
Yeah,
Human beings never saw them before. And so
interesting.
you want an early death? Yeah, load up on that stuff.
Hmm.
Canola oil is about as bad as it gets, but a lot of those seed oils are so denatured and so unnatural that the
Hmm.
body cannot cope with them. So you're going to have an overall inflammatory reaction to them. That
Hmm.
means every cell in your body is now being offended by them. And you have aches, pains, joints hurt because of the inflammation.
Interesting.
And
Um,
these might be the things that are really helping to clog our brains and call Alzheimer's, dementia, cognitive decline. All of those, there's probably some connection with these artificial oils that are so
yeah.
denatured. I saw this demonstration. I saw uh, these people just for fun decided to put a stick of margarine
Hmm.
on the top of a fence and a stick of butter
Hmm.
because they knew squirrels ran by there frequently. Day or two, the butter was gone. 6 later, the margarine was still there. The animals would not eat it. But they say,
Oh,
well, yeah, right. But the manufacturer said, this is heart healthy. Yeah, well, if animals won't eat it,
yeah. That tells you
what
the
do they know
story
that we
right
need to pay
there.
attention to?
You're right. You're right. You're right. There is a one question here, Doug. Just to go back to the sugar part, I
Yeah.
want to bring this up here on the screen. That's from London, SA. There is sugar in fruits, as we know, of course. So if they are good or bad sugar, that's basically the question. Or is there a good and bad sugar when it comes down to fruits?
I don't think so. Bananas are terrible for you and these things have been so genetically altered
Yeah,
for the sweetness.
yeah.
And you say, well, it's like a watermelon. Isn't that good for you? And you take a look at how many grams of sugar in it, or a peach that's been refined over many decades, or an orange. You say, well, hold it, has vitamin C in it.
Mm.
Well, if you want vitamin C from a citrus fruit, try lemons and limes, not an orange, and certainly not a grapefruit.
Wow.
There's a big thing to do with grapefruit. Let's not dive in it now. But the point is, if I'm talking to somebody and they give me and ask me my opinion and say, stay away from them.
Yeah. I
And you look
usually
at it,
eat apple, but I eat apple with cheese or with walnuts. I would always have some other type of fat to counterbalance the sugar in a fruit.
well, what you're doing and I think that's a really good idea if you're going to have an apple,
Yeah.
is you're slowing down the digestion because the fat is going to slow down everything. And so
Hmm.
the sugar is going to go into your system a lot more slowly, as opposed to a rush that now we have an insulin response and now
Yeah.
we have goes to fat. And you take a look at something like grapes. Wow, have those things been groomed to be sweeter than an M&M?
That's true.
I mean, they're candy, and no one's and right.
Yeah.
And
I
say,
got a
okay,
question
well,
here from Georgilia Jones. Good to see you, Georgilia, as always. Which part of the body loses fat first? This is my assumption is for women. Or is there a difference, Doc, between men and women?
well, believe it or not, the first place that loses fat is behind your eyes. So you start losing it in your face.
This one? Wow.
You're going,
Wow. For
oh, that,
both men and women?
yes.
Wow. I didn't know
Then
that.
we start seeing women start to lose weight in their breasts.
Hmm.
You're going, hold it, I didn't want to get saggy. I just wanted to lose weight. You're going, it's a really tough deal for women because men will lose it in their belly.
Hmm.
But women are going to lose it in places they don't want to lose it, and retain it places where they want to get rid of it.
Oh, I see.
So what can you say when you start losing weight and you start looking awful? You look dreadful. Your skin starts to sag, your breasts start to sag, and your skin all over your body. If you're a woman, your skin all over your body starts to sag. You're going, this isn't what I wanted.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there a remedy for it? Not an easy one.
Yeah. Especially with how our diet is here, especially during the holidays, how we end up eating just whatever. People lose focus on that.
Well, to make this really personal, you and I were recently at a birthday party, and neither one of us ate much of the cake.
No, I had a
One
little
bite,
bit.
and I had one bite and put the rest through the rest of the way.
That's it. That's same here.
Here's something that people don't know if they had not done it. We
Yeah.
Americans have so much super sweet stuff. When I lived in Europe, I couldn't find anything that was as sweet as what I found in America.
Mhm. But Europeans walk everywhere. Europeans, we sit too much and we snack too much on chips and on. I don't know. I go to. I have family in Europe. I don't see my nieces and nephews snacking on chips. They don't do that.
Well, let's say you find the willpower.
Yeah.
And you say, okay, no sugar for a week.
Yeah.
Of any kind. No grapes, no orange juice, no bread. And then you eat something. Let's say you start eating a candy bar. It'll almost make you sick. Just 1 week.
Yeah.
Because it's so sweet. And your body's already started to convert to another system.
Yeah.
And I really challenge people to give it a try to see if I'm telling you the truth, that it is the truth. And I think you and I are living proof of it. We didn't feel compelled to stuff that cake down our throats. Matter of fact, it was just too sweet for me, and I ended up throwing it away. So
Phil just joined us. Hi, Phil. Phil is from Canada. He's been always joining us. Bonjour à toi.
Bonjour.
Bonsoir à toi. It's the evening for us. Good to see you.
Oh,
Joy Cho. Here is one from Joy Cho here. He says, hi, Doc. 2 questions. First, what is the best cooking oil to use in your opinion? Second question, what is the quickest way to get rid of belly fat for men?
easy questions, actually. The best cooking oil is probably coconut oil or palm oil.
Hmm.
It is real food. People digest it, and if it's not super hot, you can add some butter to it.
Mm-hmm.
Unsalted butter, because salted butter is rancid already. The salt has ruined it.
Yeah.
So those are the only kind of oils I'll cook with.
Okay.
And I get this big tubs of coconut oil. It takes me several months to eat it, cook with it, but it really does. It works well. And the second part of that is, what can men do to lose belly fat? Well, David gave you the answer. Dr. O has figured out the formula for this. It's 2 meals a day, dramatically less carbohydrates.
That's true.
And you cannot retain the weight. To maintain your current weight level, you've got to continue to consume short chain carbohydrates, or you start to automatically shrink.
Wow.
Now here's the real challenge. How do you find a motivation to do that? Is there anyone out there who doesn't know that being fat's unhealthy? No, people know it. Did they get that loading up on all these carbohydrates? I think some people don't know that carbohydrates are actually poisonous to us.
Yeah, I don't
But
think
even
so.
those people who do know it, it's still hard to follow it, because these things are addictive.
Yeah.
You're going, what?
Yeah. Well, now you see why we decided to do this channel here, because we wanted to share the knowledge with others. So, because I saw
That's
it
really the
working
point
for
of this.
me, I wanted to share with others. That's the way I want to do it.
Let's go one step further,
Yeah.
because there's something called the microbiome,
Mm-hmm.
and that's the 1,500 plus kinds of critters that live in your small intestines. Now, what's the function of these things? I think this is kind of hilarious. When I was studying it many years ago, these microbiome, these small critters, take the food that you eat, and they eat it. And then they
Wow.
excrete their poop, is what goes into our blood system and feeds us. So if you load it up on a lot of carbohydrates for a long time, the critters in your microbiome now crave it. And they send signals to your brain saying, this is what we want to be satisfied. You're going, you mean there's that big a connection between your small intestines and your brain? Yeah, there is. And there's some ways around it. One of them is to start to recolonize your small intestines. Raw kimchi, raw sauerkraut, raw fermented vegetables, and just raw vegetables are all loaded with the kinds of things that you need to repopulate your gut and make your biome your friend that craves the right things. And you see the Korean people, they've got the healthiest diet in the world.
Oh, they do.
Since I cook Korean,
Yeah.
I really get it. The fermented vegetables really make a huge difference in terms of how well you digest your food and how healthy you are. So microbiome is another big advantage to all of this. If it's your friend, but it's a transition.
Yeah.
It isn't overnight.
Well, it's going to
So
take time.
the question is, how do people find the motivation to do this? There's nothing easy about it, especially when you've got these critters in your gut that are betraying your health.
Yeah. It's discipline. One will have to be very disciplined. And this is why I know during the time of the holidays, we kind of slack off on certain things. But as long as if you keep your eyes open on what you are consuming, that's a holiday is going to pass. But at the same time, if you put in too much weight, you're going to end up having some challenges starting the new year. And that's why we always hear people having new resolution to lose weight and all that. Well, I created to begin with. So you're going to have to think twice about that.
There's an aside here of something I neglected, and that is the importance of olive oil, real high quality olive oil. This has so many advantages, it's really remarkable. You cannot cook with it. Absolutely, you cannot cook with it, but you can put it in salads or you can put it in things. And you say, well, okay, that your body knows what to do with olive oil, and it does. It also is terrific for liver, and it's terrific for your gallbladder. The darn stuff dissolves gallstones. It clears your liver.
I do a spoon of olive oil at night before I go to bed.
Oh, what a good idea.
Yeah, before I go to bed. I always do 1 spoon. Pure olive oil. That bottle cost about $25.
And that's the quality that you've got to have.
Yes.
Number, I saw a group that had tested for what's in all these popular brands of olive oil.
Yeah.
Soy oil, canola oil.
Oh.
You're going, that's fraud.
Yeah.
So you say, well, I don't want to spend more than $8 for a quart of or a liter of olive oil. Well, you're not getting olive oil because you cannot produce high quality olive oil for that low a price.
Indeed. Yeah.
And so another really important thing to add to your diet, your eating program, is olive oil. And you
Indeed.
liberally, I mean,
So,
a tablespoon or two, your body can just thrive on that much olive oil.
so
I don't want to load people up with too much fat because your body can't tolerate too much of it because it can't digest it.
yeah. So, interesting. So,
Yeah.
well, what is the advice, Doc, before I let you go here? Or we'll take one other question or two here. What is your advice for people as we approach the holiday? So, Christmas is coming.
Christmas is coming, and you don't want the Christmas joy called fat to remain with you during all of 2024.
Yeah.
It requires an active decision on your part
Mm-hmm.
to say, I'm going to take the information these guys provided for me today, and I'm going to not eat the things that I don't get that much pleasure from anyway. How many
Yeah.
types of chocolate cake are really enjoyable? The first one. After that, it's you're mechanically eating this stuff. There's some fabulous pound cakes or fruit cakes. One bite is really magnificent. Beyond that, it just starts to taste bland because your taste buds go numb.
Interesting.
So make the clear decision that this year you're going to really take care of yourself and manage what you put in your mouth.
Indeed. Very, very interesting.
It starts with motivation.
I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more. Let me see if there is a quick question here. If not, we'll let you, Doc, go and say bye to our viewers here because I like to check if there's any question. Georgilia, I'll let you read this one, Doc. Thank you for educating us from Colorado. Thank you so much. Thank you all for being here. So, well, thank you so much, Doc. We appreciate you and look forward to our next topic. By the way, guys, you can always send us or put it for me in the comments, whatever topic you would like Dr. Stewart to address, because we always welcome your feedback, because that's how we're here to learn from each other. So, of course, the Doc here, Doc Stewart is helping us here because he is the one with the knowledge. I don't have that kind of knowledge. So he's been dealing with this for almost 40 years. Is that correct, Doc?
55.
55 years of knowledge. Oh my gosh,
Yeah, I'm old.
So yeah, well, it shows here. So whenever you guys can send us whatever topics you would like Dr. Stewart to address, we'll be happy to do it. So thank you all for being here, and I look forward to seeing you next time. As always, remember, your health is your best asset. Till next time, guys. Bye-bye.